Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video of Nepali Nati. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about how to study Nati CCL at home. I know that your examination date is approaching quite fast. Some of you probably have your examination date in March or April and you are looking to know, you are searching how do you study the CCL examination, how to prepare for the CCL examination at home. So this video, I'm going to talk specifically about what materials do you need to study and how do you need to study. Basically, what study strategy do you need to have. Okay. So I hope you will find this video useful. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, very important, you need to know the exam format. Now, I have done a few videos on exam formats. You can watch those videos. I will put a link down below in the comment section. But I will explain you the exam format briefly here. Okay. So basically, you get two dialogues in the examination. Each dialogue has less than 300 words. And each dialogue has about 8 to 12 segments. On average, it's around 10 segments. Each dialogue has 8 to 12 segments. On average, it is 10. On average, we get 10 segments. And each segment has less than 35 words that you need to interpret from English to Nepali and from Nepali to English, both. To pass, you need to get 63 overall out of 90. Each dialogue consists of 45 marks. So that's two dialogues. So that's 90 total marks. So you need to pass, you need to get 63 overall to pass. And also you need to get a minimum of 29 in each dialogue as well. Okay, so there are two criteria to pass. One is that you must score 29 at least out of 90 in each dialogue, and you must score overall 63 out of 90 to pass the examination. Okay, now once you know the exam format, then the next thing you need to know is exam tips, techniques, and strategies. Very, very important. Okay, so there are few things that you need to know before you go to the examination. For example, how to take notes, right? How do you utilize the time gap that you have when you hear the chime sound and you have 5 seconds before you need to start, interpreting. What do you do if you hear some words that you don't know the meaning of, or that you don't know the translation of from English to Nepali and vice versa? So how do you tackle in these situations? So you need to know some exam tips, techniques, and strategies, which will be provided during the online class that I conduct through Skype. It is online, face-to-face, one-on-one class basically. So these are the things that you need to know. Again, few tips and techniques I have mentioned in some of my videos, so you can go ahead and watch those videos as well. Okay, so next thing is you want to know the exam topic. This is very, very important. So you want to know that what are the topics that you will get in the examination. Okay, so you will not just get any random topics. So Nati has a list of topics from which they will create dialogues, and that's what we get in the examination. So let's have a look at a few of the topics. First is health. Any medical topics, for example, a patient goes to a doctor because of back pain, and then there is a dialogue between the doctor and the patient. Legal, maybe let's say divorce application. Community, for example, let's say you want to take some swimming lessons. Or you want to apply for, let's say, Medicare card, something like that. Immigration, maybe your visa expiring, you want to extend your visa, maybe you are applying for the MRT, Migration Review Tribunal. Education, maybe, let's say it is a parent whose child, whose son or daughter is not doing very good in the class, and he or she has to go for a meeting with the teacher, something like that. Social services, for example, mostly Centrelink. We get topics under Centrelink in this case. For example, what kind of services does Centrelink provide? Do you get any pension? Do you get any unemployment pension, for example? These kind of topics. Financial, maybe you go to a bank to apply for a credit card. Housing, you want to buy a house. Business, any business meeting with another party. Employment. Insurance, maybe car insurance, for example, workers' insurance, and consumer affairs situation. This is also related to the governmental situations, as well as where you want to, let's say you want want a refund and you are talking to a shop assistant. So you can think what would be the scenario like. So anyways, so these are the topics that they will test. In my opinion, the most frequent topics are health, legal, community, immigration, social services, and consumer affairs situations. These are the most common topics that we get in the examination. For example, even in the recent, I think the last 2 months, topics were from health, and it was community as well, health and community, and social services. These were the topics. And as far as I remember, I think one of the topics was about back pain, one of the topics was about, and the next topic was about retirement. Yeah, I think these were the topics that I remember for now. Okay, so you need to know these topics. You need to know what kind of vocab can you expect from these topics. Okay, very, very important. Again, in the website nepalinati.com, we have gathered few dialogues under all these topics which you can practice. Okay, next, increase your background knowledge in the most repeated exam topics, right? So I've just mentioned you the most repeated exam topics, which include health, immigration, legal, social services. So under these topics, you have to increase your background knowledge. For example, let's say if you know the process of applying for a let's say aged pension, unemployment pension, unemployment benefit, these kind of things. You know the process. How do you approach Centrelink? What are the processes? What forms do you have to fill up? Maybe let's say divorce. You can think, let's say in legal, let's say in divorce scenario, what kind of words do you might come across? For example, let's say when it comes to the topic divorce, lawyer, solicitor, office, client, document, file, record, judge, opponent, these kind of words we can expect to see if it is a legal topic with subtopic divorce. So if you know, if you have a background knowledge in these topics, it will help you a lot, because in the examination, if you do not understand what is happening, right, what kind of dialogues are the two people exchanging, what is the meaning, then of course it's going to be very, very difficult for you to interpret as well. So the basis here is to understand first, then only know the translation from one language to the other, okay, then only interpret. So you have to understand first. So if you do not understand what Centrelink is, right, for example, let's say if you do not understand the meaning of the word pension, if you do not know that people get pension after a certain age, then it will throw you off in the examination when you get any topics like that. So it is important to develop a background knowledge on this topic. Again, you can Google and read any articles in any website, and then develop your background knowledge on this topic. It's very, very important. Highly recommend you to do this. Okay, next one is you need to know some basic vocabulary. Very important, because because it is a dialogue between two parties. Maybe they will start with greetings, right? For example, hello, how can I help you? Good morning, good afternoon, nice to see you later. So these kind of words and phrases that you need to know the translation, interpretation from English to Nepali and Nepali to English as well, and common expressions as I mentioned, and some basic vocabulary for each topic. Again, increase your background knowledge. Okay, so you have to know these words, because you most likely will see them, you will hear them in your examination. Yes, in nepalinati.com there are about 2,000 words from English to Nepali. So these words pretty much cover everything that you need to know for your examination. Not absolutely 100%, but they cover pretty much everything. Okay, so next, after having known some basic vocabulary, next one is you need to practice plenty of dialogue for each topic. So there are about 50 dialogues in nepalinati.com in the website, and you need to practice them about 2 to 3 times. Practicing them only once is not enough, right? So you practice it once, you know the answer, of course, because the website has the answers as well. Then you start over again. Now, since it is online, if you have your phone and internet connection with you, you can listen to this while you're on the train. Pretty much even when you're driving, you can practice all the time. In fact, that's what I used to do. I used to have these dialogues on my phone, and then I used to listen to them while I drove to work. So it didn't feel like, I had to manage separate time for studying. So that helped me a lot. So when you do it, again and again, 2 to 3 times, you kind of get used to those, specific, authentic, particular Nepali words that we all have forgotten because of the decrease in the uses of those words here in Australia. So very important. And I know that, I have to say it's kind of sad that I know there are a few institutes, I don't like to name them, in Sydney, maybe in other states as well, where they charge you quite a lot of money, but they only give like $10 or $15 to students. That's what I've heard from few of my friends. And trust me, $10 to $15 is not enough. Definitely not enough to pass the examination. If you know some people who did pass the examination, $10 to $15, probably they were already good at it, right? So you need a lot of dialogues because you need to have that. You need to expose yourself to the different kind of words and scenarios, that you might get in the examination, and be able to interpret it. So it's very, very important to practice as many dialogues as you can and as many times as you can. Also very, very important. And then finally, when you have access to the 50 dialogues in our website, then what you'll do to practice is you finish them once, you have the answers, you have the vocabulary list, and you once you finish practicing them, you can check the answers in the website and then you start again. Okay, so you can do it over and again until you become almost perfect in the 50 dialogues. Now, when you study at home, let's say I would suggest you to study for about 2 hours every day. Okay, maybe 4 to 5 days a week, depending on your work schedule. And out of those 2 hours, I want you to separate half an hour for your vocabulary training. Meaning, half an hour you will have to cram those vocabulary if you didn't know them, or just refresh your memory by going through them again and again. So every day, maybe you have a friend and I'm with you to ask you those vocabulary, or you can just do it on your own as well. So you will do as many as you can in half an hour. Again, you do it again. Once you finish all the 2,000 words, then you start back again. Okay, so you have to spend about half an hour for studying vocabulary, and then about an hour and a half for dialogue practice. And remember, as I said, if you finish all the 50 dialogues and 2,000 words, you have to come back again. So you have to do this 2 to 3 times to study. Okay, so another thing that you need to pass is you need to do mock tests and feedback. Let's say maybe you're studying by yourself at home, right? You might be thinking, if I'm studying online, how do I know whether I'll pass the examination or not? So for that reason, you need to do mock tests and you need to have some feedback. Very, very important. Without doing mock tests, you don't know whether you are studying in the right direction or not, right? You may be studying hard, you may be studying a lot, but are you doing it in the right direction or not? So it's very important to do mock test. I conduct mock tests myself with students using Skype online, face-to-face, and I give them their score right then and there. And usually the test scores that I give to the students via mock test is pretty much consistent with the actual examination score. So what I ask my students to do, or what you guys can do, is you practice some, you have access to the dialogues, and then you practice some materials, maybe let's say for 1 to 2 weeks, and then you take one scored mock test with me, and then you study directly 1 to 2 hours, depends on which course package you get or how many hours do you want to study. So basically, I will explain you about the exam techniques and tricks if you don't know that already, and then we will conduct a scored mock test. And I'll give you a score right then and there. So you now, after doing the mock test, you know your score now, and now you know your possibility of passing the examination, right? Whether or not you will pass the examination, how close you are to your score target. So this gives you a sense of reality, right? You know your exam score now. And not only that, you should receive feedback, right? Someone to tell you that how should you study at home, should you change your studying strategy or not. So you need feedback definitely. So you have to have, again, practice the dialogues and then with mock test and feedback. Not just practicing, but with mock test and feedback, you need this to pass the examination, right? Okay. Now I know that we all fail this, right? We are probably not very good in our own language. Again, this is from my experience and from the other students' experience whom I taught, that we normally feel confident or easy to interpret from Nepali to English, but not from English to Nepali, right? Again, the reason being that in Nepali there are many, typical word terminologies that we never cared to learn because it is our own language, right? So we were careless, let's say, and we only had one course Nepali in our, back in school days, and no one wanted to study grammar, Bakaran. So that made us not so good in our own language. So we know the general language, right? But not the actual specific terminologies that we should use. As I've said in the other video, for example, nurse is known as Swasthya Paricharika in Nepali, but no one says Swasthya Paricharika back, right? Everyone says nurse and nurse. So that's why it's not like we are very bad in our own language. It's just that we need to get used to using those words that we don't use anymore. So for that reason, we have when you go through those 2,000 word list in our website, it will help you a lot, and it will refresh your memory. Then it will feel a lot easier. And given that CCL is not a diploma level examination, right? It stands for Community Credential Language for 5 points. When you pass the examination, you get 5 points for permanent residency, but you are not allowed to work as a professional interpreter. So it means that questions are relatively easier than it used to be in the past. Okay, the length might be the same, but the difficult terminologies are, not that quite much given in the examination. Although you can expect to see a few, but not as much. Okay, but still, with the language flow that we have, we have the habit of including few, English words when we speak all the time. So that's what and it's a habit basically, right? Because we're used to doing it. We're used to using those English words, even though you are speaking Nepali with your friends. For that reason, until your examination, you need to speak in Nepali, in pure Nepali with your friends at workplaces, whenever and wherever you can. So this is the next important thing, is you need to get used to. Please do this, because practicing, the dialogues, exam topics, and memorizing, cramming the vocab list is one thing, but then the other thing is getting used to. You might know that, let's say, doctor is known as Chikitsak, right? But then when you go to the examination, you might forget to say the word Chikitsak for doctor in the examination because you're not used to saying that, right? So this is about getting used to, about developing a habit. Which cannot be done overnight. So you need time for that. So if your examination is in March, April, June, you have actually just enough time. So you should get used to doing that, right? So talk to your friends in Nepali, your relatives, your parents, whenever you can, use the language Nepali as much as possible. As again, I said before, Nepali to English is usually not a problem, as English to Nepali is. So we need to get used to using our own language as much as we can. Very, very important, this one as well. The other one you can do is listen to BBC Nepali Sewa and try to interpret. This is also very important. We can, broadcast. You can listen to the broadcast of BBC Nepali Sewa for free from any websites. You can just Google and then just listen. And when I said try to interpret, I am not asking you to interpret the whole, broadcast, but just listen. And then if you think there are some words maybe you don't know the meaning of, you can try interpreting that. And again, this is about gaining experience, right? The more radio program BBC Nepali you listen to, the more familiar you get to the words that you have forgotten. Okay, so it kind of refreshes your memory. So this is important. Okay, last is improve note taking. This is also very important. We know that each segment, meaning each audio that you listen to, has up to 35 words, right? So up to 35 means, I think in average is 15 to 35 words you get. So 20 to 25 words you have to interpret about. So which is not a joke, right? You cannot memorize all 20 to 25 words. So it means you depend on note taking heavily as well. Very important, improve your note taking. And as I've said previously in my video, note taking in English, even for Nepali, parts, Nepali audio is convenient, because note taking in Nepali language is a little bit difficult. I think we all can agree with that. Practice note taking while listening to BBC Nepali Sewa. Now this is what you can do. Okay, so as you are listening to the BBC Nepali Sewa, you can pause and then for let's say 4 or 5 seconds, and then try to note it down quickly and interpret it again. Continue, pause. So you can do that. This will improve your note taking while listening to the audios, and also improve your vocab without actively cramming the vocab while doing note-taking exercise. So this one is also very important. Again, as I've said in the previous video, note-taking is very, very important. It plays a crucial part in the CCL examination. Okay, let's recap. So first, you need to know the exam format. Then you need to know the exam techniques and tips and techniques. Then you need to know the exam topics. You increase your background knowledge on those topics. Then you go through some basic vocabulary that you can expect to hear in the examination. Then you need to practice dialogues as much as you can, which are under those exam topics. Then you need to get a mock test, scored mock test, which will tell you how much you might get in the examination, and you need to have some feedback, which gives you direction, how to study at home. And then also you need to get used to using your own language, Nepali or any other, language that you might be giving the examination of. And then of course at the end you need to improve your note. Okay, so these are the things that you need to go through. So again, I don't feel like for NATE CCL you need to take 20-50 hours or 3-4 months class or 2-3 months class that some places provide, because as long as you have the dialogues, the vocab list and the answer to those dialogues, you can practice by yourself at home, right? You don't need to travel. You can in fact use the traveling time to study, but what you do need is you need a scored mock test, you need guidance, feedback, a person to tell you how to study at home, and you can for that I think 1 to 2 or even 1 to 2 hours is more than enough, and that's kind of study. Okay, having said that, please stay in contact, stay in touch with us. Visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Nepali Nati, or you can email me as well. You may or may not be an enrolled student, but still I would respond to your email. If you have any questions about the examination or anything related with the NATE CCL, you can contact me. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. If you have any video recommendation, if you have any topics that you would like me to make a video on, please comment down in the comment section. And if you liked a video, please make sure to like and do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.